Born into the Mauryan dynasty, Ashoka the Great remains one of history's most profound rulers. His story interwoven with conquest, conflict, and profound transformation. His ascent to the throne in 268 BCE marked the beginning of a reign that initially celebrated military prowess and territorial expansion. The early years of his rule were characterized by a relentless pursuit of power, reflecting the traditions of his predecessors who believed in the might of the sword to govern and expand. Ashoka's legitimacy as a ruler was solidified through a series of successful campaigns that aimed to consolidate the vast territories of the Indian subcontinent under one rule. His strategies were ruthless, his governance marked by an iron hand, and his ambition was to build an empire unmatched in both splendor and scope. The Mauryan Empire under Ashoka's rule was a formidable force, extending over a vast area and influencing various cultures and populations. However, the true measure of Ashoka's capabilities as a leader emerged from the crucible of personal and societal upheaval that followed the bloody conquest of Kalinga, which became a turning point in his life and reign. This event precipitated a profound transformation in Ashoka, leading him to re-evaluate his role not just as a conqueror, but as a guardian of his people. This pivotal moment set the stage for the dramatic changes that would redefine his legacy and influence future generations. The Kalinga War, fought in the 8th year of Ashoka's reign, stands as one of the bloodiest battles recorded in ancient history. Its significance lies not merely in its ferocity or the high death toll, but in its transformative impact on Ashoka, who was left deeply troubled by the devastation and loss of life. The war was a decisive victory for the Mauryan Empire, yet it came at a tremendous human cost, with reports of over 100,000 deaths and many more displaced. This mass suffering unleashed by the war sparked a profound spiritual and ethical crisis in Ashoka. Witnessing firsthand the horrors of war and the suffering of both his soldiers and the defeated, Ashoka began to question the path of relentless conquest he had been following. It was a moment of reckoning that led to introspection unlike any he had faced before, shaking the very foundations of his beliefs about kingship and governance. In the aftermath of the Kalinga War, Ashoka experienced a dramatic change in his approach to leadership and life. He sought to address the inner turmoil that plagued him by turning to spiritual teachings, which led him to adopt Buddhism. His conversion was not just personal, but profoundly political, as it shifted the ideological underpinnings of his administration from conquest and punishment to welfare and moral governance. This marked the beginning of a governance philosophy that was revolutionary for its time and remains influential to this day. Ashoka's embrace of Buddhism was a defining moment in his reign, influencing not only his personal life but also his approach to governance. Buddhism, with its emphasis on compassion, peace, and ethical living, provided Ashoka with the moral framework he desperately sought after the devastation of the Kalinga War. His conversion was sincere and complete, as he committed himself to the teachings of the Buddha and sought to apply these principles to the administration of his vast empire. The influence of Buddhism in Ashoka's policymaking was evident in his edicts, which he had inscribed on pillars and rocks across his empire. These edicts communicated his new policies of moral governance, which included respect for all life, tolerance among different religious groups, and the establishment of welfare programs. The edicts also emphasized non-violence and the importance of ethical behavior, which were revolutionary concepts in the context of ancient imperial governance. Ashoka's commitment to Buddhism went beyond personal adherence. He became a global advocate for the faith. He sent missionaries to various parts of Asia and the Mediterranean to spread the teachings of the Buddha. His efforts played a crucial role in the spread of Buddhism beyond the Indian subcontinent, helping to transform it into a world religion. This global missionary work underscored Ashoka's vision of an empire united not by force but by shared morals and spiritual values. Section 4. Ashoka's Reforms, a New Era of Governance. Under Ashoka's rule, the Mauryan Empire witnessed significant reforms that touched upon various aspects of life, from administration and justice to welfare and public health. These reforms were deeply influenced by his Buddhist beliefs, and were aimed at improving the lives of his subjects. Ashoka established hospitals for humans and animals, built roads to improve connectivity and trade, and dug wells to provide clean drinking water, demonstrating his commitment to the physical and economic welfare of his people. In addition to physical infrastructure, Ashoka's reforms in the realm of justice were particularly notable. He advocated for a fair system of justice that emphasized rehabilitation over harsh punishment. Ashoka's approach to governance was proactive. He regularly toured his empire, listening to the grievances of his subjects and ensuring that his edicts were being implemented correctly. This hands-on approach was revolutionary and highlighted his dedication to ethical governance. Moreover, Ashoka's emphasis on moral education was a hallmark of his reign. He encouraged the spread of education and ethical values through his edicts and public discourses, emphasizing the importance of moral responsibility among his officials and citizens alike. These efforts to mold the moral compass of his empire were integral to his vision of a righteous and harmonious society, reflecting his deep commitment to the principles of Buddhism and ethical rule. Section 5. Ashoka's influence on the world. Ashoka's policies and reforms had a lasting impact not only on India but also on the world. His model of governance, particularly his advocacy for peace and non-violence, has inspired countless leaders and movements throughout history. His influence extends into modern times, where his ideals resonate with global efforts towards human rights and ethical governance. Ashoka's example shows that power can be wielded to nurture rather than oppress, which remains a powerful lesson for today's leaders. The spread of Buddhism, which Ashoka significantly facilitated, has had a profound cultural and spiritual impact on various countries across Asia. Nations such as Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Japan have been deeply influenced by the teachings of Buddhism, which were propagated during Ashoka's reign. This spread of Buddhism has contributed to a shared cultural heritage in Asia, promoting values of peace, compassion, and coexistence across national boundaries. Furthermore, Ashoka's legacy is also reflected in modern symbols and institutions. The Ashoka Chakra, a symbol of righteousness and courage, is part of the national flag of India, symbolizing the enduring relevance of his ideals. His emphasis on moral values and public welfare continues to inspire contemporary governance models, advocating for policies that prioritize human well-being and ethical governance over mere economic success. Section 6. Conclusion. The legacy of Ashoka the Great. Ashoka the Great's transformation from a ruthless conqueror to a benevolent ruler is not just a story of personal redemption, but also a testament to the potential for change in leadership and governance. His journey from the horrors of the Kalinga War to his embrace of Buddhism and subsequent reforms demonstrates a profound shift in understanding power and responsibility. Ashoka's legacy is a beacon of hope and a guide for contemporary leaders in navigating the complexities of governance with compassion and ethical integrity. The principles of peace, tolerance, and welfare that Ashoka championed are timeless, continuing to resonate in a world that grapples with conflict and inequality. His legacy challenges us to consider the moral dimension of power and leadership, encouraging a shift towards governance that prioritizes the well-being of all citizens over territorial conquests or economic dominance. Ashoka's story is a reminder of the transformative power of compassion and ethical governance, inspiring generations to strive for a more just and peaceful world. Ashoka's enduring legacy, exemplified by his emphasis on moral values and social welfare, remains relevant in today's global society, challenging us to reflect on our own leadership models and the impact they have on humanity. His life and reforms offer profound lessons on the importance of ethical leadership and the potential for each individual to effect positive change, making Ashoka not only a figure of historical importance, but also a perennial source of inspiration.